Okay, so we are going to start, and if someone shows up, then I hope I am able to get that person get in. Let's start with a short meditation. I would like you to take inventory. I call it taking inventory meditation. So let's start with that. So close your eyes, please. And as you close your eyes, I want you to shift your attention towards the first doorway, your breathing, and see how your breathing goes. How is your breathing today? You maybe feel that it's short or fast, or maybe it's slow or complete, whatever it is, just connect and take inventory, take a picture of it. And now shift your attention towards your body and do the same from the tip of your toes to the crown of your head. Connect with your entire body and see how is your body today. Maybe you feel rested and energetic. Maybe you feel tired and a little bit hectic. Whatever is your physical state right now, just observe it. Observe the energy that flows through your body and the different areas of your body. Now take a moment and shift your attention towards your heart and connect with your emotional state. How do you feel today? What are the emotions you're going through today, these days? Then shift your attention towards your mind. As I always say, there is not a physical location of our mind, but we can clearly observe our thoughts. So you want to connect with your mind. And just ask the question, how is my mind today? Maybe you feel relaxed and peaceful. Maybe you feel hectic and wondering, stress. Whatever it is, the state, just observe it, define it. And then, in order to embrace the rishi within you, the observer within you, ask yourself the question, who is having these experiences? Who is having this physical experience? Who is having this emotional experience? Who is having this intellectual experience? Who is having these thoughts, these feelings, these images, these sensations? Just ask the question. Excellent. Please open your eyes. I forgot to bring down the bell, the beautiful bell I have. You see my bell? It's so beautiful. I love it. It took me years to learn to do that. I remember my first classes of yoga in the studio I teach in Yoga Loft. They have two of them, and then I just first time I got the thing, and I start just doing this, and nothing happened. You know? I feel so frustrated and say, "What's going on? It's supposed to work. It doesn't work." I didn't call the manager. All right. So, and there is always this urge to change things. That's what I start with this short exercise. I love this exercise. I call it taking inventory meditation. And I love it because I think that this is a practice that you can practice every day. Like I don't know how many minutes it took us. I think that no more than 5 minutes, maybe less. And it's something that you can do every day, right? At any moment when you have 4 or 5 minutes, you close your eyes and you say, how is my physical state? How is my emotional state? How is my intellectual state? And who is having this experience is always something that you maybe want to embrace. It's up to you, but the ultimate goal of meditation or yoga is basically to realize that we are not this what we believe. You are something much more bigger and much more powerful, and which we call soul. It's interesting because we confuse this to the intellect. I mean, we say if I ask you who is having this experience, the answer to that question is I. I am having that experience. Who is I? And how that I changes upon the circumstances of our life. So I begin this conversation with this meditation because I believe that the five kleshas can give us an understanding of this that I am trying to explain. And it could be seen as, when you translate into English the word klesha, and please don't worry about names, and we're going to go through many different Sanskrit names. Remember that Sanskrit, the way that we say these words is direct transliteration. So we use these alphabet letters in order to sort of reproduce the same sound that these words are sound in Sanskrit. Make sense? So it really is not very important to write it properly and to, who knows, it's transliteration. This is what I'm trying to say. So don't pay so much attention to that. In any case, you are going to receive this by writing, and if you have any questions, you can send the question, and I'll send it to you. But basically, don't get engaged in what he's talking about. Klesha, Avidya, Asmita, Vedesha. It doesn't really matter. They are names. But in any case, if we analyze the root of the word klesha, it could be seen as torments, something that creates torments, troubles, causes of distress. That would be the translation of the word or the root of the Sanskrit root of the word klesha. Let's say that klesha is anything in our mind, this is very important, anything in our mind that distorts reality. Anything in our mind that creates emotional reactivity. Anything in our mind that lead us to patterns, to repetitive patterns. When we go into this place and we keep doing the same, and then you suddenly find yourself saying, oh my God, I am doing exactly the same. This is very interesting in relationships, because usually relationships create these sort of repetitive patterns. So we constantly, in front of our relationship, create some sort of pattern, some sort of behavior. This is how I behave in front of this person. And of course, klesha is anything in our mind that creates suffering. So the important part is to realize that klesha is not something that happens to you. It's the distortion through which we experience what happens. I'm going to repeat that. It's the distortion through which we experience what happened. And this is a big deal because we should go into perception, but we are not going to go there because it's a lot of information to deep into that, and the 5 kleshas are already enough information to go through in 20 minutes or 30 minutes. But perception is a big deal because we perceive things constantly, and the way that we perceive things, we believe that they are completely real. But then science is clearly explaining to us that as we perceive is something that the way that we perceive is not exactly what is happening out there. Makes sense? So, for example, this blue color in this watch is not blue. We see it blue, but that doesn't mean that it's blue. Okay? And I'm not going to go there because it's very complicated, and it's very even complicated to understanding intellectually. So I'm not going to go there. But perception is a big deal. So on top of that, anything that distorts how we experience what happens to us in our mind, this is what we call klesha. Make sense? Any questions until now? Perfect. So there are 5 kleshas. This is in writing in the book of Patanjali. I show you the book many times. It's a small book called this Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And basically, he states in his book, the 5 kleshas. Patanjali was someone that put in writing all the Vedantic knowledge, or knowledge for thousands of years, and he basically put it in writing. Before him, when this knowledge was going around in that area of the planet, there wasn't even writing. So somehow he put in writing what was spread through words of mouth. And through the pandits, those who were the sort of knowledgeable characters in that area of the planet that were just expanding this knowledge or spreading this knowledge around. So in that book, there's many different, I would say, discrepancies about when that book was written. Let's put it 200 years before the Common Era, 200 years after the Common Era, just to say something. Sincerely, nobody knows. And the more that you read and the more that you explore, the more you try to get into a place, the more that everyone have a discrepancy on this. There is a direct relationship in between the 5 kleshas and the 4 Noble Truths. You maybe hear about this, the 4 Noble Truths of Buddha. So there is a direct relationship. So many Buddhist explorers are saying that the kleshas are coming from the Buddhist tradition. Maybe it's right. We can say that it's not right. But basically, Patanjali is not coming from Buddhism. Patanjali is coming from a different school, to put it that way, the Vedanta school, the Vedas. In any case, all of this doesn't really matters to me. Those are just for historians, and it's interesting that most of the time, I don't know why, most of us we try to be right instead to agree. And I don't like that. So I don't even pay so much attention to all those discrepancies because I don't think that they are important. The important thing is what these things are saying, the information I get. And if I get it from Patanjali, or Buddha said before Patanjali, or Patanjali copied from Buddha, or Patanjali didn't even know who Buddha was, or whatever, who cares? I care about the five kleshas, or as I care about the Four Noble Truths. I haven't any information about Buddha. I didn't study Buddha. I didn't study Buddhism. It's not my field. I just put all my coins and all my information on Vedanta, and this is what I try to understand and learn and study. That's basically it. So I would stick with Vedanta, just to say something. And I'm going to talk about the five kleshas without, something is not neither a field that I am an expert on, but at least I can tell you what they are and how I see this thing called five kleshas. So the five kleshas are: the first one, Avidya; the second one, Asmita; the third one, Raga; the fourth one, Devesha; and the fifth one, Avinevesha. I'm going to repeat: Avidya, Asmita, Raga, and Devesha, and Avinevesha. So Asmita, if we translate it period how it is, it would be translated as ignorance. But ignorance is a very tough word. Nobody wants to be an ignorant. So I would say that more than ignorance is misperception. And when we misperceive, when we are not perceiving as it should be, then we become ignorant because we don't know. We are just seeing something that is not true. Make sense? And then based upon that, we base a complete behavior, reality, respond to that, what we are perceiving, and we are just based on something that is fundamentally wrong because it's not what it is. That's Avidya. The second one is Asmita. And Asmita could be seen as ego identification. Right? We identify with this, what we create, because ego is something that we create. A newborn baby doesn't have any ego. Ego is something that we build upon our life. It's a response. To me, ego is a response towards basically, I would say, our circumstances. This is how I see it. So we develop this ego in order to respond to our circumstances in our life. We all have a story. We were born in a particular place, in a particular situation, in a particular family, whatever is your story, and we are going to talk about that. So Asmita, somehow, ego is this what we develop as a sort of personality, and then, or part of our personality, and then Asmita would say, well, when you identify with that, this is what is called Asmita. So we have first this sort of misperception, and then we have this sort of identification with ego. And the third of the five kleshas is Raga. And Raga is attachment, because we would say attachment, and I would translate it mostly to clinging to pleasure. We need to protect this ego, and then we start clinging to pleasure. And then we have the fourth of the five kleshas, which is aversion or clinging to pain. It's like a response to pleasure. It's a response, and we are going to understand now how they are completely connected, because they are completely connected from the first to the last. And the last one is Avinivesha, which basically is clinging to life. It's the fear of death. We all have the fear of death. It's something that we respond to the fear of death, of course. And Abhinavesha is basically that, clinging to life. So again, Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Devesha, and Abhinavesha are the 5 kleshas. So in order to somehow have a picture of this, imagine a tree. So the root of the tree is Avidya. The trunk of the tree is Asmita. Raga and Devesha are the branches of the tree. And the shadow over all of it is Abhinavesha. Makes sense? And that could be a good picture of this. Avidya, which is this misperception, is the root that creates this tree. And then the trunk is this ego personality. And in this ego personality, the branches are the responses also to that ego personality, because ego take us into pleasure and take us into aversion, into pain, right? That's what creates pain and what creates pleasure, our ego. And then Abhinavesha is sort of this shadow about all of this, because basically, who wants to die? And Abhinavesha is basically this sort of fear to dissolve in any base, in any circumstance of our life, because through our life, I'm not talking about just physical death. Through our life, we go through many different deaths, right? Many parts of our life, many times of our life, some part of ourselves somehow disappear or dissolve. That's how it happens. That how many times happens in your life, like, oh, this sort of life, this sort of, I don't know, for example, a relationship. Oh, our relationship is gone. Makes sense? So we go through these stories in our life. So let's go one by one, so you understand one by one a little exploration on each of these sort of 5 kleshas. So Avidya, why we have this misperception? Because we say it's misperception, ignorance. That's the definition, that's the translation of Avidya. Why we have this misperception? Well, I would say that we have this misperception. I would say, sorry, that's so pretentious. I am not saying this. Who say this is yoga. Yoga says our failure to discriminate the permanent from the impermanent, this is what creates misperception. Remember, and I say this many times, that yoga says that whatever is impermanent, whatever changes, is not real. And anything that doesn't change is real. This is very difficult for us to understand intellectually. That's what I didn't want to go into perception, because everything changes in our life. So if I say, well, sorry, this is not real, then you're going to say, you're just crazy. Makes sense? But just hold on the concept. Don't try to look for an immediate explanation. Hold on the concept. Think about this. Yoga states this. It's very important. This is a very crucial, important concept of yoga. I think that most of the crucial understanding of yoga holds in this. Well, I would say more than yoga, Vedanta, the Vedanta philosophy. And this is this. Whatever changes, or whatever is changing in life is not real. Then whatever is not having any change, whatever is permanent, then that's real. When we are, most of the time, that's why we go through the 5 kleshas, most of the time, because of perception and because the life and because the ego, we keep failing to understand what is permanent and what is impermanent. And then because of that, we keep suffering. Because, of course, when things change, we suffer because we hold on things. And as soon as something that we are holding on changes, then we suffer. Makes sense? And that's the big deal of all of this. And again, hold it as a concept. Don't try to explain it intellectually, because it's a very difficult concept to explain. And hopefully by the end of the entire conversation, then you have a better understanding. So yoga would say, well, the self is real, the non-self is not real. Now, who is the self and who is not the self? Well, when we start this meditation, I say connect with your body. That changes. According to yoga, our body is not real. When I start this conversation in meditation, I say connect with your breathing. That changes. According to yoga, breathing is not real. I say connect with your heart. According to yoga, your heart is not real. And according to yoga, your mind is not real. But then I say, who is seeing all of this? And then they say, well, I, me, or whatever. And according to yoga, I, me, that self, that's why they call thyself or the self, that doesn't change. Never change, never will change. It's part of the entire, I would say, consciousness field that is eternal, permanent, and is the creator of all what we see, the creator of all that experience. We, as individuals, are an individual expression of that field, and the self is that. So when we mistake the non-self for the self, then that's the misperception we're having. In reality, this is the fundamental misperception of reality, mistaking what is false from what is true. According to yoga, I am not saying that this is true. I am not asking you to believe in any of this, okay? I am asking you, hey, give it a thought. Give it a thought. I would never say, this is what it is. And I fail every day to understand this. Every day I fail to understand this. And then I go there and I say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. In any case, we are not our body. We have a body. We are not our thoughts. We have thoughts. We are not our profession. We have a profession. We are not our successes. We have successes. We have failures. We are not our failures. We are not our reputation. We are not our story. This is something that we somehow create. We create our story in order to give an explanation to ourselves, in order to support ourselves, in order to show others our story. Are we our story? Are we our reputation? Are we our successes? Are we our goons? We have goons. We are not them. I am not saying, oh, you don't have a body, oh, you are not your body, or you're. I am not saying that. I am saying, hey, don't hold on it. Don't hold on your thoughts. Don't hold on their word, because then when your body changes, then if you are your body, then when your body changes, you say, oh, what's going on? And then you know what happened with the thoughts. If you are your thoughts, then if you have violent thoughts, then you just start just being violent and punching noses because you believe that you are our thoughts. And if you believe in your successes, then you begin completely inflated, and you begin this annoying personality because you believe in your success or your reputation or even your story. Our story is something that we create, and somehow I would say it's what helps us. That's what an ego is. It's what helps us to connect with others. But it doesn't mean that that's the truth. It's what I am trying to put together in order to say, hey, here I am, this is me. when we identify with this, then that's misperception, which is what leads to the second klesha, which is the ego, because the ego is born here. We have this misperception of reality, and then in order to move forward, we need to create this ego, which is the asmita, the identification with the ego. Because when reality is distorted, identity becomes distorted. If I am not seeing reality as reality is, then identity gets distorted. And this is why asmita happens. Asmita is when we confuse awareness with personality. I am my story. I am my role. I am my success. I am my gund. It's like imagine, if I suddenly believe that I am a yoga teacher. That's it. I am a yoga teacher. Listen to me. No, I am just trying my best teaching yoga. Makes sense? This ego identification is the problem. It doesn't mean that you don't have to play your roles. We play these characters. It's like being an actor and playing a character, and then suddenly this actor become the character, and then they go back home, and then he's not anymore Diego, or I am not anymore Diego. I am just becoming this yoga teacher, and then everyone is just becoming this role. Makes sense? That's identification with the ego. Again, I am not my story. I have a story. I am not my role. I have a role, many roles on top of that. So who are you? A son or a daughter or a mother or a grandmother or a brother or who are you? What of those roles are you? So when you are a brother or a sister or whatever is your relationship with your relatives, when you switch, then you switch personality. We are all these characters, so we are playing this game. We are playing this. And that's why ego is important, because without that ego, we would be kind of crazy, very difficult to deal with. The ego has that sort of characteristics. The ego helps us to connect with others. And the problem is the identification with the ego. So when we are completely identified with the ego, then the problem with that is then the raga appears, the third klesha. Why? Because if I am completely identified with my ego, then cravings begins. And that's what happened. I need pleasant experiences in order to feel okay. And then I am looking for praise. I am looking for attention. I am looking for food. I am looking for stimulation. I am looking for validation. I am looking for comfort. I am looking for spiritual highs. And again, I am not saying please don't eat. I am saying you know what cravings are. And attachment itself creates instability because all these pleasant things change. All of these changes, constantly changes. And then when we are completely identified with the ego, what we are creating is attachment. We just attach. And we know what attach is because, attachment is something that we all experience every day. Who's not attached? If you have a pet, aren't you attached with your pet? I mean, I see my partner with our pet, and it's like a complete attachment. We are constantly attached. Who is not attached to chocolate? Isn't it? You just put a piece of chocolate and say, "Oh, I should keep eating." I have this experience yesterday. I am doing my diet and I am really going well, and I try my best. And then suddenly, yesterday, I have a kind of different day. Sunday was a different day. I started, for some reason, I went to this reunion and there was not much food and there was pizza, and say, I'm gonna eat pizza, and I ate some pizza, and then just in the afternoon I drink a beer or whatever. So I end the night eating ice cream. And I went to the refrigerator like 3 times. I just eat a little bit. I went back. We were watching a program and there was a break, and then I just went to the refrigerator, I ate some ice cream. Then I went back to in front of the TV. We keep watching the program, and then suddenly my mind went completely. I love ice cream. I can have ice cream in my home. This is a family problem. My father have a problem with ice cream, and then I just get that, and I can have ice cream. So that's attachment. Those are cravings. Now, at some point, this could create suffering if you don't understand how to handle all these things. We go to these places constantly. And this is what brings us into the fourth klesha, which is the vesha. Because basically, in order to fulfill all of this, we need to avoid discomfort. And then we begin the process to avoid discomfort. And when we avoid discomfort, then we have a big problem, because discomfort is probably one of the best teachers we can have in life. When we avoid criticism, when we avoid rejection, when we avoid uncertainty, when we avoid pain, when we avoid difficult conversations, boredom, then we have a big problem. Big problem. Because we stop growing. Criticism is fundamental in our life. Rejection. I wrote a book, one chapter of my book is about the rejection I have from my first loving rejection. An entire chapter is based upon that moment in my life in which my girlfriend, the first girlfriend, I don't know if it was the first girlfriend, but the first person I was completely in love say to me, sorry, I don't love you, bye. It's fantastic. It's great, because then we learn, we become humans. Uncertainty. There's nothing better than uncertainty. Uncertainty dissolves rigidity. Uncertainty dissolves this sort of frozen type of structure, like, okay, this is what it is. Uncertainty is fantastic. Pain is the greatest of the teacher. Who learned anything from success? Zero. Now, from pain, we learn. We deep learn. Boredom is the soup of creativity. And of course, nobody wants to have difficult conversations, but difficult conversations are the real conversations. You want to have difficult conversations because then you can move forward. If you don't have difficult conversations, yeah, I love that English. When I started learning English, the chit chat. And I said, what is this chit chat thing? It sounds so beautiful, right? Chit chat, chit chat. Yes, we can have chit chat conversations. It's fantastic. You just go and you talk and we have fun and it's fine. But difficult conversations are really powerful because they transform us, they make us more humans. So I remember I have this friend, Cuero Diaz. He was one of the greatest guitar players in Argentina, and he taught how to play the electrical guitar to many of the Argentinian guitar players. And I have the honor to play with him. And he took me kind of like he was older than me. He was kind of my mentor. I didn't play guitar, I played piano, but he was introduced me. We went to any place and, he was a famous guy. And then we went to any place and they say, oh, this is Diego, my tecladist, my keyboard guy. So I was playing keyboards and he was a guitar player. And then he said, comfortability is more uncomfortable than you think. And yeah, that's how it is. And I think that this put together what the Vesha is. Now, to end this entire story, so I say, Avidya, the misperception, and then from the misperception, the ego shows up, the trunk, and then from the trunk, those branches go, attachment and aversion, right? The responses from ego, right? Attachments and cravings and aversions, and you start just avoiding discomfort, and then all of this is sort of embraced by the fifth of the five kleshas, which is Abhinavesha, which is this deepest survival grip. That's what Abhinavesha is. It's the last of the five kleshas, and basically is the fear of ending. How many endings do you have in your life? How many losing do you have in your life? How many dissolvings do you have in your life? And every time that you went through something like this, you were in panic. We were in panic. We feel that we are going to disappear. This ego that we are, right? This personality, we feel, oh, is going to die. The fear of death, the fear of aging. What about aging? I love therapy, and my last work on therapy was aging. Suddenly, I just call my therapist and say, I need to see you. I am having a big problem with aging. A big problem with aging. I am having a big problem. And then she say, well, because I was complaining about, physical changes and pain and things and how that was affecting really me, and saying, oh my God, how long it takes me to recover from this, and how long it takes me to go there, and blah, 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 blah. I have all my blah, 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 blah. And then she say, well, on this age, when you wake up in the morning and nothing hurts, it's because you are dead already. And I love it. I start laughing like an hour. Yeah, perfect. So then, let's embrace pain. So irrelevance, that's another fear, right? Irrelevance, becoming irrelevant, loneliness, change. I don't want things to change. I want things to be as I want it. The loss of identity. So all these things that are just happening is what the five klesha is. And of course, Patanjali says that even wise people feels this. In his book, he particularly writes all this, explain all of this much better than I explain. Of course, it's Patanjali, so he just write it in a poetic, amazing way. And then he ends, even wise people feels this. So this is part of our reality, and we gotta deal with this. But when we understand all these things, I think that's what I bring this up. I think that it helps us, because it's very interesting to see how the first and the last are interconnected, and how all these in between play roles. From ignorance, ignorance creates ego, and ego creates craving. And cravings creates aversion. And aversion creates, or all of this produces the fear of death. So they are all completely interconnected. Why this is important? First, because I think that more than I would say, millenary abstraction, intellectual abstraction from some sort of tradition, is like a modern psychology in a spiritual language. And that's how I feel it. And why this is important, why we are talking about this? Well, basically because awareness dissolves the process, reverse the process. When you become aware, then you realize, okay, but I am not this story. I am not this character. I am not this ego. I am not this, in words of Alan Watts, skin encapsulated ego. Yes, my ego cries every day. Yes, that's how it is. Now, what I'm going to do? I'm going to cry with my ego, or I'm going to laugh and see my ego and say, oh my God, just take it easy, man. Step back. When we hold in the ego, then this is what we do. So the problem is not the lens through which the problem is not life. The problem is not life. The problem is how we see life, the lens through which we see or where we meet life. That's what the problem is. And basically, what yoga is saying, what yoga is basically proposing is go from reaction towards awareness, go from grasping towards freedom, go from a confusion towards clarity. So when we meditate, basically all these things start sort of falling into place. It's like when you just really deepen into the practice, you start feeling like, oh, why I am paying so much attention to all these little things that are basically bringing confusion into my life, bringing reaction into my life, bringing grasping into my life. Doesn't mean that, once in a while you go to the refrigerator and you eat all the ice cream you want to eat. Fine. I mean, to me, it's fine. You maybe to Patanjali, it's not, but to me, it's very fine. So that's what I have for you today. I just wanted to talk about the five kleshas because I believe the five kleshas, when you start analyzing them, you start seeing, oh yes, this is the way that I am doing. This is the way that I took. This is the path that I took, and I really need to reverse this. I want awareness. I want freedom. I want clarity. Even though I am reacting every day, I'm grasping every day, and I am completely confused every day. What I want in my life? No, I want clarity. I want awareness. I want this freedom in my life. And that's basically it. All right, so we have a few minutes. Any questions? Sorry, I never stop and say, hey, stop, questions. Any questions? I was so engaged in talking about this. All right.
I actually have a question. It might be far out there, but I too have a problem with ice cream, and I can't keep it in the freezer. So am I avoiding that? Should I not keep it in the freezer and avoid it, or put it in the freezer and confront that attachment to it and just not eat it?
Okay, so that's a real question. That's a very real question. So
thank you.
If I could be a yoga teacher, an academic yoga teacher, I say, okay, what you need to do is to place the pot of your ice cream in front of you and say, who owns whom?
Mm-hmm.
That would be what a yoga teacher would say.
Okay.
Yeah, but then I would say, What about to eat a little bit of the ice cream and really enjoy it? And once in a while, even have an stomach ache because you ate so much ice cream. And then overall, over time, realize, okay, I need to deal better with this problem if it becomes a real problem. Because, these things are not big problems somehow, but it could be a problem. Who knows? I know that I have a problem with ice cream. I know I can't have ice cream. But then suddenly there is ice cream in the refrigerator. And inside I see it. And you know what I do? I don't open it. That's what I do. Not the refrigerator, the ice cream. I do not open. I look at it as, no.
Right.
Because I know that the moment that I open it, like yesterday, I just eat a little bit. I say, I want to eat this little thing. And then I put it in a very small glass thing, the ice cream, and then I eat it all. And then 20 minutes later, I am thinking about ice cream. Now, pain is a good teacher. So when you have stomach ache because you ate so much ice cream, then you need to become aware. Oh, I probably ate more ice cream than I should.
Right.
And then next time, and next time, and next time. And, we learn hitting ourselves against the wall by repetition, making the same mistake over and over again. That's why life is circular. Doesn't it happen to you that you feel, oh my God, I am just going in circles. I am going in circles. I am going in circles. It requires some sort of awareness to move from one circle to the next circle. Don't believe that in the next circle you're not going to start repeating things. Why we go in circles? Because we need to learn. So you go in circle, learning, and then suddenly the circle closes, and then you didn't learn, and what you didn't learn, you need to go again. And what you didn't learn, you need to go again. And then when you didn't learn, you need to go again. And then you jump to the next circle. We learn by repetition.
Thank you.
I mean, very wise who learns by the first experience, right? Like, oh, no, I have a problem here. No, not ice cream. How wise the person that put the ice cream in front of, in the kitchen clerk and say, who owns whom? That's very wise, very yogi, very, very poetic. Yeah. I would love to be there, but no, it's very far from where I am. That's what I call myself, a yoga apprentice, right? I am an apprentice. I am learning these things. It doesn't mean that you don't want to go that way. I am completely sure that where I'm going. That I am completely sure. Even though I am going this, and this, but I know there is no doubt within that's the path. Now, how I get there? Well, yeah. Back and forth, up and down. Yeah. I don't know if that answered the question. All right. So
it does. It helps a lot. Thank you.
Oh, no, my pleasure. It is back and forth because when I say all these things, it becomes much more clear to me. That's why we are in relationship, right? That's the beauty of being a human. This idea that we are separated is. We're going to talk about this next time, right? Connection. With this idea that we are separated. We are part of the same tree, we are part of the same planet, we're part of the same story, we're part of the same thing. And we call it the universe. One verse. But suddenly we're all separated. Oops, no, you are there, I am here. Yeah. So in this interaction is how we learn. So I say these things and say, yeah, that's how it is. Or, this is what I'm saying. It's not resonating with me. I am just saying it, but because many times we say things from here to here. When we say things from here, then they resonate. That's why the heart is so important. But that's for another discussion. Let's have 10 minutes of meditation. So close your eyes and sorry, do you have any other question? Nope. Carol, Melissa, all good? Okay, so let's meditate. Close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, just think for a moment about all what you hear and what were the responses, reactions you got, what feelings, thoughts, images, sensations you have through the conversation we were going through. Maybe aha moments, maybe some sort of connection with something like, oh yeah. Just think about it. Let's meditate a little bit about our conversation. Take your time. And then slowly start shifting your attention towards your breathing and connect with your breathing. Feeling the air going through your nostrils in and out. Feeling the expansion of your lungs. Feeling all your breathing process and how your breathing process is helping you to relax, to ground yourself. And then gently shift your attention towards your heart and connect with your heart, establishing yourself within your heart. And then as you establish yourself there, repeat like mantras these three words that yoga embraces: awareness, freedom, clarity. Awareness, freedom, clarity. Just keep repeating them in connection with your heart, with the intention to bring them into your life as the antidote to the five kleshas. Awareness, freedom, clarity. Keep repeating these three words, those three mantras: awareness, freedom, clarity. Now stop the repetition of these three mantras and rest. Rest in existence, rest in awareness, rest in being. Just rest. Let it go. Ready, gently open your eyes. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to spend this hour understanding the five kleshas, and I hope you were able to some sort of have some sort of an idea of what these five kleshas are, and you know that I am completely open to answer any questions you may have if I have the opportunity to do so. Thank you so much. Beautiful to be with you. And then next time, I think it's July. Oh, I am not sure that we are going to be able to connect on July. Let me check. That's a good thing that I say this. No, because July is going to be the 6th, the first Monday. Maybe we can connect after. I am not sure. But for sure, we don't connect because I'm going to be out of town. Okay? So I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so
See you,
much for your
Carol.
time.
See you,
Beautiful to be
Kathy.
with you.
Thank you.
I'll see you on the mat.
Everybody.
Bye.
Namaste.
Have a
Namaste.
wonderful week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.